the other side of the world, welcome to the final race of the 1989 World Championship, the Australian Grand Prix, where, sadly, 3 days of perfect weather for practice have turned to driving rain for the race. But never mind, a heartwarming Aussie welcome, a super enthusiastic crowd and a magnificent circuit are going to make this a Grand Prix to remember. And not just for the racing, for Adelaide has been a hotbed of political activity after Ayrton Senna's controversial disqualification following his victory in Japan for missing part of the course when he rejoined after tangling with his McLaren teammate Alain Prost. As a result of Senna's exclusion, Prost automatically became world champion for the third time. But when Ron Dennis, the managing director of McLaren International, appealed against the governing body's ruling in Paris last week, he was astounded to be presented with a whole catalogue of charges, accusing Senna of dangerous driving throughout the season. To the Brazilian's exclusion from the Japanese Grand Prix results were added further penalties of a $100,000 fine and a suspended 6 months ban. A draconian decision which has greatly disturbed the whole Grand Prix world. At subsequent conferences in Adelaide, Dennis and Senna vigorously defended their case.
And today what we have in Formula One, what we had in Suzuka, it just reflects the present situation, the political situation that we have in motorsport and particularly in Formula One. And if that's what we have to face to prove, or try to prove at least, that there are still people that have got some value, we'll go. And I'll go right to the end. I'll do all what I can to show that there is some values behind everything.
What we're arguing about, what we intend to continue fighting for, is the application of some fundamental values of fair play, integrity and honesty. And those fundamental values are the things that we've built our company on and which we wish to see applied in Grand Prix racing.
McLaren intend to pursue their case for fairness and justice vigorously, in the belief that if they do not, the whole of the Formula One world will suffer. But having done that, they intend now to set aside their objections and, in the interests of a good Australian Grand Prix, get on with the racing. Gets away first, a brilliant start. Is he still going to come in at the end of the lap? Because Prost leads away, Senna touches wheels almost, gets through the chicane because of the inside line. It's Senna leading, Prost second, Martini losing it, fishtailing, but just managing to keep control as Alessandro Nannini comes up alongside him and takes third position. So, Senna leading, Prost second, Nannini is in third position, challenged by Martini, but the interest and excitement is going to be whether or not Prost and Berger come in.
Yes, they have both declared their intention that they don't like the conditions. They consider them too dangerous and they're going to stop after one lap, and the Ligier team already doing a little dance.
Yes, both of them on René Arnoux and Olivier Grouillard, who were at the back of the grid in respectively 24th and 26th place. René Arnoux, that is. But Senna, with a clear circuit in front of him, with 80 laps still to go at the end of this one, in what is certainly going to be a 2-hour race, and it probably won't even go the full distance, is leading on lap 1, and he's got an enormous advantage. Look at the great blanket of spray behind him with Alain Prost second, Nannini closing on the 1989 World Champion Alain Prost, and Senna is a wet weather master.
Yes, and although Prost got a fantastic start, there was a suspicion that he jumped the start. Senna still managed to muscle his way past into turn one, as we really expected him to do. He now is the only man in the race who can see properly where he's going. He is not looking at a wall of spray.
And Prost is coming in. Prost is true to his word. The world champion is giving up at the end of the first lap. Nannini goes through into second place with a long gap. Prost gets out of the car. De Cesaris is third, Martini is fourth, Patrese is fifth, Brundle is sixth, Alesi is in seventh place and he's got bronchitis, and Larini is next, followed by JJ Leto. But now, with the Australian Grand Prix developing sensationally at the very start, even before the start, and then at the end of the first lap, Ayrton Senna is away. Renianu, who spun, is starting to come up through the field, and significantly, he was second fastest in the very wet pre-practice session. There goes Boutsen, and there's a spinner. It's one of the Brabhams. It is Modena. If this is going to happen, I think they will have to stop the Australian Grand Prix if people are going to go off the circuit left, right and centre. But meantime, Ayrton Senna taking advantage of the position, and the black flags are out, and the red flag. The Australian Grand Prix is being stopped on the second lap. So ended part one of the Australian Grand Prix. There was then a 30-minute delay as the track was cleared, and Alain Prost confirmed that his racing for the day was over because of his view that conditions were unacceptably dangerous. Formula One Constructors Association President Bernie Ecclestone confirmed that FISA, the governing body, had made the decision that the race should continue despite the conditions. So, with Prost absent and Alesi starting from the pit lane, it was a wet and bedraggled grid of only 24 cars that made their way to the restart. Larini waving his arms in the background. He stalled his car. He is unhappy. Larini will have to, they may have to abort the start. But you can see Larini, yes, there he is. They're going to push it. I suspect they're going to push his car off the course. They want to get this race going, and rightly so. Yes, the Osella goes. Larini's race is over. The green. And Martini's made a flyer. Martini comes up alongside Ayrton Senna, but Senna's got the inside line for the left and right of the S's. This is where Martini nearly lost it on the original start. He does not do so this time. Nannini nearly does in third position. It's Boutsen in fourth position as they go through the wall of spray, and Senna has already got a lead. Look at it as we look down from the helicopter as they go round East Terrace Bend and up towards Flinders. It is Senna leading, Martini second, it is Nannini in third position, Boutsen is in fourth place, Patrese in the other Williams is in fifth position, and Senna is sprinting away, meaning to control the race from the front. But the danger in this race for Ayrton Senna and everybody else is going to be lapping. When they come up to pass people in these conditions, it's going to be very dangerous.
And if you look back behind Senna's car, if we look at it from the front and you try and see through the wall of spray, you can't see anything. And that is the reverse of the view that the following drivers have. As they follow Senna, they can see absolutely nothing through that wall of spray. They can't see his car. And there's a battle now for second place. Martini moving over to defend the corner as Boutsen has a look, but goes discretion being the better part of valour for the moment.
Now Martini's on wet weather Pirelli tyres. Boutsen and Patrese behind him are on Goodyear. The Pirelli is alleged not to be so good as the Goodyear in the wet, in which case Martini will be holding up Boutsen and Patrese and letting Senna get away. And Senna has just gone through, and I think there is going to be an enormous gap at the end of the first lap. Martini second, Boutsen third, Patrese fourth. Nannini is in fifth position, another long gap. In sixth place is De Cesaris, seventh is Nigel Mansell, eighth is Cathy, ninth is Modena, 10th is Brundle, 11th is Warwick, in 12th position is Piquet, and they are tiptoeing gingerly down the straight as Martini holds off Boutsen, who is attacking for second place, and Nannini's closing up on Patrese.
Yes, and I think at this stage of the race, Martini is a bit naughty to be defending the insides of these corners as he is, and working on the blocking, because it's not a situation that he's going to be able to sustain for very long. It would appear that he's got a significant amount less grip than the Goodyear shod cars behind him, and they're all falling over each other trying to get by, and meanwhile Senna has just disappeared into the distance ahead.
Indeed he has, and Martini's going to have to give way to the pressure, but there is the order, with Senna literally out of sight. Martini is second, Boutsen is third, Patrese moving to the right down Brabham Straight as they come up to racetrack hairpin, which is where Boutsen tried to challenge before, and now they're punching right up, and it's because Martini is holding them up. Nannini is in fifth position, Patrese challenging Boutsen for third. Well, it's a great race for second place, but at the end of the first lap, Ayrton Senna was nearly 9 seconds ahead of everybody else. He is going to cakewalk this race if he just keeps going. And knowing Senna in this weather, he's a master in the wet, he will keep going. Over the line, coming up to complete second lap, Martini wipes his visor, Boutsen attacks on the inside and he's going through, is he? No, Martini shuts the door. The two Williams Renaults, which they have worked on the handling of very, very carefully in the period between the Japanese Grand Prix and here, and are vastly improved, are up into third and fourth places. Alessandro Nannini, who crashed at the beginning of the race last year, is fifth, and now Boutsen goes for it, and once again Martini moves across. That's my line, he says, and I'm keeping it. And Boutsen just hadn't got the grunt with the V10 Renault engine to get past the Ford DFR V8 powered car of now he has, Boutsen goes up to second, but the gap between himself and Ayrton Senna in the lead as Martini attacks again in third position now, and of course Martini is now getting the spray and Patrese is going through. Martini's getting the treatment that he had been giving Boutsen and succumbs to it. Boutsen second, Williams Renault. Patrese third, Williams Renault. Martini fourth in the Minardi. Nannini in the background in fifth position. In sixth place it's De Cesaris still, but there's a long gap. Mansell is attacking De Cesaris for sixth place, as you will see in the moment. And the Australian Grand Prix has only just begun. There are still nearly 2 hours of it to go. Now, Thierry Boutsen won the Canadian Grand Prix, which was one of the other 2 wet races we had this year. Boutsen won in Canada. And the other wet one, of course, even worse than today, was the Belgian Grand Prix, which Senna won. And there's 23 seconds now between Senna and Boutsen, who is second.
Well, this, of course, is now a very comfortable situation for Senna. I think that as the 2 Williams cars have got past Martini, one would expect to see them speed up, but Senna really should be able to drive very cautiously now, knowing that he has an enormous lead. He will have heard that on the radio. And an enormous lead for Ayrton Senna.
Yes, Senna, even now, can afford to take it easy and go for his 7th Grand Prix win of 1989. And I remind everybody who's watching that whilst Alain Prost has been declared World Champion of 89, following the rejection of McLaren's appeal in Paris this week, if Senna wins today and McLaren's appeal is successful, that could put things in doubt again. That's Arnoux taking Eddie Cheever and losing it. Well, René Arnoux, last Grand Prix ever, and he's beached it, he's got the car stuck on the curb, the rear wheels are off the ground, there is no drive, and I don't think we'll be seeing him again. Ayrton Senna. Here's a replay, and you see Arnoux going very wide.
Yes, and Cheever appeared to give him a bit of a nudge with his front wheel then. He just pushed onto his rear wheel, spun him round, and he's got stuck on the curb. These cars, remember, are very, very low. There's very little suspension movement, so any lump onto the middle of its tummy, and there it stays.
If it's possible for anybody to revel in these conditions, here is the man that will be doing so. Because Senna, who has been under an enormous amount of pressure for the last 2 weeks as Eddie Cheever comes through in the Arrows, Senna's been under an enormous amount of pressure, is leading from the front and demonstrating his superiority and wet weather expertise. You're looking at Cheever, who's actually got a forward-facing camera on his car, but the conditions are so appalling that I imagine he's not getting any picture from it. Not that he'll care too much about that. And the backward-facing camera is on Martin Brundle's car. We're with Derek Warwick now. It's the two Arrows cars that have got the cameras. Cheever is in 12th position, and Derek Warwick is well down the field. You can hear his engine. Listen. So, race order on this, the 5th lap out of what are supposed to be 81, but I don't think will be. Ayrton Senna now leading by 24 seconds from Thierry Boutsen as Alain comes out of the pits.
Looking out of our window here, Murray, I see, if anything, the rain is coming down a little bit harder. It's steady drizzle it's been all day, but this is an extremely heavy, steady drizzle that we're getting now. And in fact, looking across at the hills beyond the circuit, it looks even worse. It looks more closed in than at any time earlier today.
You've just seen René Arnoux coast to the side of the circuit. He's going to be one of many, many retirements today. This course is difficult enough to finish on when the weather is good. In 1985, the first time, as you watch Ayrton Senna leading, that the Australian Grand Prix was held, 8 people finished. In 1986, 10 people. 87, it was 9 people, and last year only 11 out of the 26 who started. And that, as I say, was in very good conditions. Today, the water is bound to get into some of the cars. Drivers are bound to go off in these slippery conditions. I would be quite surprised, actually, if all 6 people finished to score World Championship points.
And looking back down the field, I see JJ Leto making very good progress through the field. He was started 17th on the grid, was ran 17th for the first couple of laps, and has now moved up into 14th place. The talented young Finn driving the Onyx car, having a chance today to show his talent in the most extremely difficult conditions.
And hats off, incidentally, to the 2 Williams drivers, because although the gap... And off goes Alain, water skiing across the infield as he's gone past the Adelaide racecourse entrance, Victoria Park racecourse entrance. He slid onto the grass. That's where Prost went off this morning in the wet weather practice, and it's another indication of how appalling the conditions are. I was saying hats off to the 2 Williams drivers. They're in 2nd and 3rd places now, 29 seconds behind Senna. They finished 2nd and 3rd in Japan with Patrese in front, and it's Boutsen in front this time. 4th is Nannini. Mansell is up into 5th place, and 6th is Martini. There's the replay of Jean Alain, who rejoined after going into the pit lane, and you saw that he had to have his car pushed over the curbing. And of course, these big tyres with an enormous contact area, even the grooved ones, which are wet weather tyres, resist not at all when you hit deep water. Ayrton Senna is now on his 8th lap. That is 1/10th distance of the planned race, 81 laps. And still, Boutsen and Senna are only just going through, 30 seconds behind.
Yes, Senna, I think, has eased his pace a little bit. His last lap was a couple of seconds slower than the previous. And still, he's edging away, rather than take... Oh, and contact there.
It's Gerhard Berger that's made the contact, hitting Billy Ballio in the Lola Lamborghini. So it looks as though Berger's raced just as last year, because you will remember that last year there is Alio's car being pushed away. Berger's car is empty. The Austrian is fed up. He didn't want to start this race anyway. Here's the replay. Alio turns in, clips the nose of Berger's Ferrari, takes off the front aerofoils, and that's it. There's no point in Berger even trying to go on. He would have had to go into the pits and get a new nose, and he's fed up.
Particularly as with the delay to the race, he's now missed the flight that he caught last year by getting out of the race early. He's got out of the race early this year, but the race started a bit later, so he won't have made the flight.
Last year he was taken out at racetrack hairpin by René Arnoux, who has already retired this year, and on lap 8 of the 81 lap, hopefully, Australian Grand Prix, Senna leads Boutsen by 29 seconds. There is Riccardo Patrese. You can see what the gap is between third and second. Thierry Boutsen, to the extent that he's able to take his thinking away from controlling the car, which won't be very much, may be saying to himself, this is a recap of the Canadian Grand Prix. Senna was leading me and went out. I am second, and I won in Canada.
And I have a feeling that Patrese is getting very anxious to pass his teammate Boutsen. Patrese beginning to look for a way by, and of course with the visibility, the spray and the poor visibility, overtaking in equally matched cars really is very different indeed. Now Senna has definitely eased his pace. He's lapping some 4 seconds slower than his quickest lap of the race so far, and in fact Boutsen has caught him a little bit. Gap now down to 27 seconds.
There's a spin up, and it's one of the arrows. Let's see it's Derek Warwick. Derek Warwick's out now. So we now have Berger out, we have Arnoux out, we have Derek Warwick out, and you can see there the on-car camera. That's what happened to Derek Warwick. The wheel is off. He did the same thing in practice in the dry.
And you may have noticed then how difficult it was to see anything through that onboard camera, and I'm afraid to have to tell you that the drivers have no better view than that, and that is one of these problems. Here we see now Patrese definitely starting to look for a way past, but he's got this problem of the spray. Eddie Cheever, who we saw from the outside then, we're now watching from on board his car. And the problems come really when he's following another car. He's not close behind anybody else at the moment, but you see how long the spray hangs in the air. And now the spray from the car in front.
Ayrton Senna has gone through, and there is Emanuele Pirro all around the circuit. Cars are spinning out of contention, and Pirro has just done exactly that. Now here we are with the on-car arrows camera of Eddie Cheever, and on lap 10 in this 80-lap race, Ayrton Senna leads Thierry Boutsen by 27 seconds. Here's a replay of Pirro spinning off in the Benetton Ford. Third is Patrese, challenging Boutsen, as you have seen. Fourth is Alessandro Nannini, who is 8 seconds behind Patrese, and 7 seconds ahead of Nigel Mansell, who is in 5th position. And Pierluigi Martini in the Minardi is in 6th position. 7th is De Cesaris, 8th is Caffey. Ayrton Senna is in a class of his own here today. As James has said, he has slowed down actually, and he's still, there's the gap.
Yes, and he's getting all the information he needs for the pits, because he is now quite clearly matching his pace to the two Williams cars behind him. He may find that as and when Patrese manages to scrabble past Boutsen, he might have to up his pace a little bit, but I'm sure he's got an awful lot in hand. And Patrese having a go, and Patrese had to really scramble it, but he is past. So Riccardo Patrese moves up into 2nd place.
Yes, Riccardo Patrese, who already this season in an incredible season as a spinner, and that is Nigel Mansell. Now, there was some confusion earlier on about whether Mansell or Berger had gone out, and of course it was Berger. Mansell did there what Senna did in the wet weather practice this morning, spun through 360 degrees. Here it is again, and watch him miraculously catch it in exactly the same place that it happened to Ayrton Senna, in exactly the same way. In fact, if you could have superimposed the pictures of the McLaren on the Ferrari there, you would have had a mirror image. It would have been a multicoloured one. And there's Patrese. So it's Senna, and then the two Williams, then Nannini in fourth position. Nigel Mansell trying very hard. He had actually reduced the gap between himself and Nannini in fourth place. He didn't lose a place because of that spin. We're looking back now. We were looking back. And there's Patrese. He's lost it. Boutsen is going to go through back into second place.
Yes, I think that was a replay because we saw Boutsen back in second place just a moment ago. So the two Williams cars having a tremendous battle, and there is JJ Leto, who's been making good progress through the field so far.
Leto, the first Formula One driver doing an excellent job.
Yes, there's drama all round the circuit. Martin Brundle's camera looking back at Leto. We'll probably see something from that soon. And Martin Brundle, that you see there, is in 10th position. Leto has worked his way up to 11th. And there's Senna. Senna spinning. Spin, spin, spin. Round, round, round he goes. Now, has he kept his cool? And he's got enough of a gap between himself and the second place man to stay in the lead. But if that happens to Ayrton Senna, it can happen to anybody, and almost certainly will. Boutsen in second place, Patrese third. There's the replay. Just watch the way Ayrton just coolly and calmly looks to the right, looks to the left. 27 seconds between himself and the second place man, Thierry Boutsen, so Senna is safe.
Yes, and he lost an amazingly small amount of time on that lap. Only 4 seconds of his lead went away. And further back down the field, Leto will be very, very keen to get past Martin Brundle. Brundle, remember, of course, is on the Pirelli tyres, which it's quite clear from the lap times are not providing the level of grip. Senna's right back in the groove now. And you can just see just what difficulty even the outstandingly talented Senna is having at keeping his car on the island. It really is fantastic. And the rain is still, as I told you a few minutes ago, the rain is coming down harder and it is still persisting. The rain is now, and has been for the last 10 minutes or so, harder than any other time during the day. And the weather really looks set.
Ayrton Senna swimming his way through the spray. Well, he certainly found his limits on that corner, and he won't be trying that one quite as quick again. But he's leading by a country mile, metaphorically speaking. It was 27 seconds. Let's see what it is now, as Boutsen goes through in second place, followed by Riccardo Patrese. Ayrton Senna is leading by 24 seconds. Boutsen is actually lapping 2.5 seconds faster at the present moment than Senna on Senna's lap following his spin. Patrese is slower than Boutsen, and Nannini is now just 5 seconds ahead of Mansell, who is in 5th position. And there's De Cesaris. You see, they're all going off in the same place, and that's where they went off this morning. That's on the right-hander between Jones Strait, Brundle Road, and you see the wheel spin as De Cesaris feeds in the power and boils the water between the tread of his tyre and the surface of the road. And it's a 4th gear, 110 mile an hour right-hander in dry conditions that they're going off on. And you see they hit that curb. The marshal's taking a very interested view in the proceedings, and De Cesaris was only just missed by the yellow Minardi of Pierluigi Martini, who is now in 6th position because he has been passed by Nigel Mansell long since, and Patrese is back with Thierry Boutsen. This is the battle in the Australian Grand Prix. It's for second place. 24.6 seconds between race leader, ex-world champion Ayrton Senna, and this. Prix drivers are paid a great deal of money. Nigel Mansell is alleged to have some £4 million a year income. So is Senna, so is Prost. They earn it, in my opinion, when the conditions are good. But when the conditions are like this, virtually indescribable for their horrific nature, they certainly earn every penny of it. That's Capelli, who is about to be lapped by Boutsen.
Patrese once again starting to press Boutsen. He would appear to be capable of lapping quicker than Boutsen, but he panicked when he got past before. He took him several laps to find a way by, and then within half a lap he'd thrown it away, and Boutsen was back through again. So now he's got to start all over again, and that looks like De Cesaris at it again at the same corner.
Martin Brundle in major trouble, no rear wing, he's gone off somewhere. And Senna is only got 3 wheels. My goodness, Senna is out of the Australian Grand Prix. We are going to have a new race leader, and as in Canada, it is going to be Thierry Boutsen, followed by Patrese.
He may do a Villeneuve and try and drive the rest of the race on 3 wheels. And there's the tummy on the curb yet again.
Well, this is the sensational development that finally rivets the World Championship, because there was possibly going to be, well, there was going to be contention if Senna had won this race, but even Ayrton Senna, if he comes in as he did in Japan, where he had a new nose cone put on, there is no way they're going to put a new left front suspension on the McLaren. And that means to say that Alain Prost is probably feeling pretty happy and perhaps a touch smug in the pit.
And we are speculating here that he may have made contact. And there's Caffey, Alex Caffey, having a little reversing practice there into the wall. He won't want to practice that too often, and his teammate, De Cesaris, stuck on the curb, so they're out of it. But we speculate that maybe there was contact between Senna and Brundle, because Brundle was without a rear wing. We didn't see what happened. Maybe we'll get a replay in a moment, but Senna very much without a front corner, and the McLaren team could put one on, but not quickly enough.
And here is the new race leader, and we have a race in Australia.
Except that Patrese had a spin on that last lap. He's lost 10 seconds to Boutsen, but so long as he's got going again without damage, I suspect that Patrese will catch that fairly quickly. Caffey being walked away, looks as if he's got a bit of a bump, but he's on 2 legs.
So, as you look at race leader Thierry Boutsen on lap 15 of the Australian Grand Prix, he is leading Riccardo Patrese, his teammate, by 10 seconds. Alessandro Nannini is in 3rd place. Nigel Mansell is 4th. Pierluigi Martini is 5th. And Eddie Cheever is in 6th place. And you saw again that Andrea De Cesaris has once again beached the Dallara. And I have a feeling that he's not going to be in the race much longer. I also have a feeling that the stewards will be meeting and trying to decide whether or not they are sensible to continue the Australian Grand Prix. Thus far, nobody, with the possible exception of Caffey, has been hurt, but things could get worse.
What I'm sure the stewards will be doing is hoping that they can reach 1/3 distance in the race, because if they can get it past that, they can stop it and declare a half points result if the conditions don't improve. They'll stop it and wait to see if conditions improve. If they don't, then they can at least call the race a result, and I'm sure they'll be trying to do that, but certainly they must be watching the conditions, because basically it's like a lottery out there, whether you can keep it on the island or not. And if Senna, who after all had a very comfortable lead and had only to keep the car on the island and progress without any undue hurry, and if he couldn't do that when that was his only real challenge, a man of his ability, then really the conditions, one would have to say, are silly, and I'm mighty glad that I'm not having to drive in this.
Well, Thierry Boutsen leads, but Patrese is no longer in second place because Alessandro Nannini, the man who won in Japan, is there. And in third position, it is now Nigel Mansell. In fourth position, it is Riccardo Patrese. In fifth position, it is Eddie Cheever. And Boutsen is leading Nannini by 9.5 seconds.
One thing I think I should say in really the defence of the stewards and their decision, and still that car seems to be very truly stuck. Indeed, but they'll get it out of the way, hopefully. In defence of the stewards, although these conditions are silly and cars are almost impossible to control and there's a lot of damage to machinery, the risk to life and limb is not too great because these cars are going a lot more slowly, obviously, than they are designed to do, and also than the circuit is safety arrangements are designed to catch cars that are going a lot quicker. And the danger to life and limb, I'm happy to say, although of course it's there, is not as great as in a dry race.
Now, there is the man to watch, Alessandro Nannini. He is lapping in second place faster than Thierry Boutsen. He is lapping 1.3 seconds faster than Thierry Boutsen. He is 8 seconds behind the Belgian. He, Alessandro Nannini, won the Japanese Grand Prix in the Benetton Ford, only the make's second Grand Prix victory 2 weeks ago. And he goes down the straight, gaining all the time. Are we going to see a leader change soon?
Well, looks to me as if Patrese has had another spin. He's now back in fourth place, but lapping quite quickly again. But the fastest man on the circuit at the moment is Nigel Mansell. He's in third place, some 12 seconds behind Boutsen, and Mansell is charging.
Yes. We really have got a race now. Ayrton Senna out, the World Championship resolved without contradiction, but with contention, and that will continue. Boutsen leading on lap 17, and we think this race, if it goes its full length, will only go 70 laps for the full 2 hours. Boutsen leading Nannini by 8 seconds. Nannini lapping faster than Boutsen. There is the Italian crossing the line. And Mansell in third position. The gap between Nannini and Boutsen is down to under 6 seconds, and Nannini is continuing to lap some 1.5 seconds faster. The Rory Byrne designed Benetton is a very nimble car with an extremely good chassis. Nannini coming up to lap Olivier Grouillard, the Frenchman in the Ligier. Is he going to give him room to get through? Thank you very much, Olivier. Past goes Nannini. Mansell, meantime, is lapping at the present moment slower than Nannini, who's the quickest man on the course. Riccardo Patrese is in fourth position. And I remind you that Ayrton Senna has joined his teammate Alain. That is, my goodness, that is Nigel Mansell. Mansell out. He wants a push, but it's not going to do him much good. No, he's out of the car. So now we have Berger out, we have Arnoux out, we have Warwick out, Senna, Cappy, De Cesaris, Mansell. How much longer can this race go on? But now there is Pirot, and Boutsen is catching him.
Yes, and Boutsen is trying to lap Emmanuel Pirot, and he won't be thanking him for holding him up at the moment because he knows that Pirot will probably have been informed on his radio that he can just help a bit by holding up, and that's Mansell, who just seemed to come flying across there. Maybe he locked his brakes or lost control under braking, but that body language just sums it up completely.
Yes, I read it slightly wrong when I said he wants a push. He was obviously furious and frustrated because he was going jolly well. But this is Pirot in the Benetton. Don't get confused. Pirot is well down the field and is being caught and passed by the Williams.
And Pirot has managed to hold him up because Nannini is now only 2.5 seconds behind Boutsen, and Boutsen lost a lot of time as Grouillard indulges in a little bit more spinnery, elegant dancing there. Whoops, oh dear, muddy tires don't help, of course. But Nannini, and still Boutsen can't find a way past.
Yes, Yes, Pirro may know, of course, by radio from his pit that Nannini, who is bearing down on Boutsen, I wouldn't accuse him of deliberately holding him up, but Nannini is now within sight of Boutsen, who's going through to take Pirro, who cuts him off at racetrack hairpin, and Nannini is now, there he is in the background, look for the other green Benetton, that's it. And the gap, I think, it says 2.6 seconds there, but soon Alessandro Nannini, the Italian charger, is going to be up there with the multicoloured Williams and its Renault engine. Nannini second, Patrese is up into third position, Chiba is fourth, Nakajima is fifth, and Leto is in sixth position.
Yes, and Leto and Nakajima having a tremendous race into fifth place. They have been battling for a long time now on the circuit. They've come through the field together. And in fact, they've swapped places a couple of times. Nakajima still ahead, but Leto still hounding him as Boutsen finally finds a way by. But Pirro's job for the team is very much done. A lot of a fist wave from Boutsen, and presumably Pirro will be informed by radio and will get straight out of the way to let his teammate by, as he does. And Boutsen, an understandably rather aggravated person at the moment, but it's a long race, a long way to go, and I don't think the loss of 5 seconds on the circuit that Pirro caused him is going to be very important at the end of the day.
So there's the gap, there's the battle, and we are on lap 20 in what we expect to be a 70-lap race from the originally intended 81. And Alessandro Nannini has got the problem now of pushing through the wall of spray. Modena is in his way in the Brabham Judd as Boutsen goes round that right-hander, and everybody is going off at that same corner between Jones Strait, which is Rundle Road in Adelaide, and Decaturville Terrace. It's a very fast right-hander, and they're just misjudging it. And that is a comment and not a criticism, I hasten to say. Thierry Boutsen, the Belgian, one Grand Prix victory to his credit so far, and that was in Canada this year. Now, the gap was 1.4 seconds, and it is now 2.5 seconds, but this time it's Nannini there. And Nannini is lapping slower than Boutsen, who has got the message. This is his 105th Grand Prix, so he knows what it's all about. Teammate Patrese, Williams are really coming good. Third position on this lap. Eddie Cheever driving in his last race for Arrows in fourth position. Nakajima in his last race for Lotus in fifth position. And the quite incredible youngest driver in the race, 23-year-old JJ Leto, the ex-British Formula 3 champion, is in sixth position in the points for Onyx. And Mike Earle, the Onyx boss, will be delighted with that because it will help them to avoid pre-qualification next year. So far, their only World Championship points have been scored by Stefan Johansson, and Leto is in the points. Boutsen leads, Nannini second, Patrese third. Emanuele Pirro has dropped right back now, having either done his job deliberately or inadvertently, and that is to delay things for Thierry Boutsen so that Nannini could close up. Pirro.
And yellow flags there, there's a lot of debris on the circuit. Oh dear, and that's a replay, I think, of what has happened.
It's Piquet and the Osella of Pier Carlo Ghinzani. Nelson Piquet, the world champion of 3 times, has a colossal coming together with Ghinzani, and that is yet another 2 more of them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I know about who are out of the Australian Grand Prix. There's probably 1 or 2 more dotted round the circuit. Here's the replay. Ghinzani, and thump into the back of him, and up his car goes Piquet.
Yes, and that, you see, Piquet couldn't see him. He was braking a little bit earlier than Piquet expected. He could only see a wall of spray, and that really, and you see the wheel still on the track there. Debris, very dangerously placed, massive waving of yellow flags. As Nannini, the leaders, picking their way through the debris then. And before all that excitement, incidentally, the rain has eased very, very slightly, and Boutsen and Nannini are speeding up at the front. They've just on lap 21. They both put in their personal fastest laps of the race. And whether that has meant the circuit's just eased slightly in its treachery, we don't know. But Nakajima, who you may recall I've criticised many times in the past, is, I have to say, driving a tremendous race this time. Nakajima in 5th place is lapping as quickly as anybody on the circuit, and he's kept it on the island, which is no mean feat for anybody in these conditions. And JJ Leto right behind him, and the two of them driving terrific races and having a terrific battle.
Only about 5 seconds separates Eddie Cheever that we're riding with now. Nakajima and Leto, who are in 4th, 5th and position, 6 positions. In fact, if Cheever had a backward-facing camera on his car, you would see the yellow Lotus Judd of Satoru Nakajima driving it for the last time. You might even see JJ Leto's Onyx as well. But Eddie Cheever's got a battle on his hands. Nakajima's had a really grisly season. He hasn't scored a single point, and he needs to have one in this race.
And Boutsen is really responding to the pressure from Nannini. He's just put up another fastest lap for himself, and he's now pulled his lead out to nearly 5 seconds on Nannini. Patrese quite a way away, some 24 seconds behind Nannini in 3rd place. And that's about as much as the drivers see. And now Cheever breaking down for the pits hairpin. Very slow corner, and you see all the grip.
That was the Senna-Brundle crash. You see there the replay. The backwards-facing camera from Martin Brundle's car saw the McLaren bearing down on it like jaws, and then suddenly the two made contact, and out went Ayrton Senna, the world champion of 1988. Here is the battle between Eddie Cheever in 4th place and Satoru Nakajima. Cheever in the Arrows. He's just had 1/3 place this year, Eddie Cheever, and he's had an enormous number of retirements. It's his last race for Arrows before joining the Jaguar World Championship sports car team next year.
And before the race, his team boss, Jackie Oliver, was confident of a good result for both him and Derek Warwick, with their experience in the conditions to drive defensively. Well, defensively wasn't good enough to keep Derek Warwick out of trouble. He's out already, but Cheever holding it down well, but under pressure now from Nakajima and JJ Leto sitting behind them, covering the pair of them.
As you watch Cheever go into the corner, there is the race leader, Thierry Boutsen. The race order is Boutsen leading, 4.5 seconds ahead of Nannini. Patrese is 3rd. This is lap 24. There's Boutsen. He's got his rhythm, of course. He will know what the limits of the car are on this circuit. He's a sensible chap. He's a quiet, slightly introverted individual. He really goes for it when he's in a motor car. And this year, after driving for Benetton and getting a lot of 3rd places last year, he's going well. There is Nannini, 2nd in the background. 4th position is Cheever, as you know. 5th position is Nakajima, who is now 3 seconds behind the American. Leto is 3 seconds behind Nakajima, who is right with Cheever. So there's 3 seconds separating 4th, 5th and 6th. As down to the hairpin again comes the Benetton, tucks in tight, gets the apex, and Thierry Boutsen goes through to complete the lap. And now Nannini, it's 4.3 seconds. So Alessandro Nannini is dropping back. He may, of course, be trying to gather himself to attack. In these conditions, as the sparks strike up, it's very, very difficult for a driver to build the necessary mental attack to come back again. Chiba and Nakajima going through. So Satoru Nakajima driving a fighting race here in Australia. The last time for Lotus, up into 4th position, past the American Eddie Chiba.
Yes, without any doubt, this is Nakajima's best Grand Prix yet. And he must be really enjoying himself, and that's more action from Griard, I think.
Indeed it is, and another one out of the race to join his teammate René Arnoux and incur the wrath yet again of Guy Ligier, who had fired the Frenchman anyway before this race, and now surely they will have to stop the race, because if ever I saw a car in a position of danger, that's it. They'll be coming round that bend, not knowing that Griard's Ligier is lying stricken in the middle of the circuit. Boutsen avoids it. Will the others?
They won't know what, of course, it is, but they will know that there's problems, because the marshals, who are very good here, will be violently waving the yellow flags, and they do get plenty of warning. And you can see the rain coming down on the track there, ahead of Boutsen's car, and really the weather's still not abating.
Thierry Boutsen leading. There are now 10 very broken motor cars out of this race, and I feel confident in my mind. I haven't had any consultations, but it seems very likely to me that this race will be stopped when it gets to the mandatory point where it can be stopped.
And Nakajima has moved past Eddie Chiba, and Leto is now attacking Chiba. So 4th position for Nakajima, some distance behind Riccardo Patrese, who's having a very lonely race in 3rd place. I get the feeling that maybe Patrese in the spins that he had may have just damaged his car a little bit. We haven't seen him for a while to see if it's carrying any damage. But he's dropping back from the leaders. Boutsen really looking very together in the lead. He's driving very sensibly. He hasn't really looked like making any mistakes. And this is a very, very good controlled drive by Thierry Boutsen. Again, one of his best.
Let me explain the point I was making about stopping the race. If the race is stopped because of weather or whatever other reason, at 1/3 distance, 33% of the race distance, half World Championship points are awarded. That's 27 laps. Boutsen is on his 26th lap now.
And Leto has also passed Eddie Chiba now, so the stars of the race, if you like, 4th and 5th place now, Nakajima and Leto. Leto lost a bit of time getting by Chiba. He's now 7 seconds behind Nakajima, but they've been locked in combat throughout. And really, I have to admire the effort of Boutsen. He's remained apparently unflustered in the conditions. He's kept it on the island when all around him has been falling off the island. And once more we see the view from Chiba's car, but he seems to be struggling to stay with the others. He's dropped back a bit behind Leto already.
Yes, right off the cam in that corner. Not that I'm blaming him in the least. Conditions, as you see, the water streaming up over the side of the arrows are truly appalling. With Thierry Boutsen leading on now, the 27th lap. I've got one eye on the flag marshal at the start and finish point and another on the monitor. And he is now 5.4 seconds ahead. Glenn Dix is actually ready with the red flag, I can tell you that. And Glenn Dix is the man who would operate the checkered flag to finish the Australian Grand Prix. We're seeing blue flags out here now. That means there's someone behind you who wants to pass.
Yes, well, the rules state that if they're going to stop the race now, and once they've got past 1/3 distance, they then can stop the race, have a delay to see if the weather improves. If it doesn't and it remains too dangerous to continue, they can then declare a result, but it is only a half Grand Prix in that they have half points. If the race reaches 2/3 distance and then gets stopped on the grounds of safety, or if it passes 2/3 distance, then it is a full Grand Prix. But if they stop it and hold it for a while and then restart it, it becomes 2 heats that add together and it's a full race. So they can restart later if the weather improves. Glenn Dix holding the red flag on the rostrum, so he may well be considering wielding it.
No, I think not. We've just had a message from race control saying that they have absolutely no intention of stopping the race, which is good news. 28 laps now. They're on the 28th lap, having done 1/3 race distance. No sign of Glenn Dix moving, and it is Thierry Boutsen leading in the Williams Renault. It's the second time he's been in front of a Grand Prix and showing signs of winning it. In Canada he did so. That's Pirot, who is well down. Nannini is dropping back all the time. He's now 7.7 seconds behind Thierry Boutsen in the lead, and Riccardo Patrese is third. And then there's a long gap because Patrese is 32 seconds behind Nannini as Boutsen goes through to take Stefano Modena, tiptoeing round. Eddie Cheever in the background. And you can see that Boutsen has actually now lapped everybody up to Nakajima, who is in 4th position. So the Belgian is going very, very well indeed. After all, Senna went off, and admittedly he hit Martin Brundle. Mansell's gone off, but Boutsen has managed to stay on the circuit, and as in every race, to win you have to finish.
And Leto only 7 seconds behind Nakajima, but he has got Pirot between them, and of course with the visibility problems it won't be easy to get past and lap, Gugelmin he had in the March, and that won't be easy for him to get past any car for that matter.
Boutsen comes from Brussels, incidentally. Started his career like most racing drivers in karts, went on to Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 2, all the different categories, up into Formula 1, and Boutsen now lapping consistently in about 1 minute 43 seconds, which is 1.3 seconds faster than Nannini in second place. Eddie Cheever with behind him Stefano Modena, and he sees left front wheel. No, that's, you see, there's part of the body. He's got somebody's right wing, I think, stuck in his bodywork. That's a guess, I don't know, but he's got something distinctly non-standard sticking out on the left side of the arrows. And it wouldn't be at all surprising, of course, if he had made contact. Well, there we are, you can see it again. You can see it's acting as a kind of water brake. Yeah, he's got somebody's spoiler jammed between the side pod and the bottom of the car as Nannini comes through to lap him. Nannini in second place.
Yes, and they certainly left enough front wings lying around on the circuit for him to have picked one up. There have been several that have parted company. And I think we've lost JJ Leto. I didn't see him go past that time. So we're looking to see what's happened to Leto.
Well, I can tell you he's not in 6th position because Martini's just gone through. Here's a replay having a look at Eddie Cheever's car, and you can see that, I'm guessing, front spoiler jammed between the side pod and the body. Thierry Boutsen in these appalling conditions leads by 14 seconds. With in second position Alessandro Nannini in the Benetton, in third position Riccardo Patrese, in fourth position but lapped already Nakajima, fifth position is Eddie Cheever, sixth is Martini, seventh is Pirot. So as James surmised, JJ Leto, having forced his way up into the points, seems to be out of the race.
And how do you like this new fastest lap of the race by Satoru Nakajima? And Nakajima is really being a star today. And there it is on the caption. And this must be the greatest moment of Nakajima's life so far. Certainly his finest race ever. And good for him. He's making me eat some of the criticisms I've levelled in the past. Although I think at the time they were justifiable. But I'm very pleased for Nakajima to see him doing so well today.
And the race seems to very much have settled down. Indeed, for another hour, the 9 have got to, I would hardly say grind around the Adelaide circuit. Float round the Adelaide circuit would be a better way of describing it, and they are all pretty spread out. Boutsen has just gone through to complete his 34th lap. He's just lapped at 1 minute 42.1. He's extended his lead yet further over Nannini. There is Pirro about to be lapped by Nakajima. Of course, Piquet is very much out of the race too with another violent, and that's Frank Williams, one of the truly great men of Grand Prix racing, who, despite being confined to a wheelchair, turns up to every race and is now worriedly relishing the prospect of another win for the Williams team, with Thierry Boutsen there at the wheel. And I was saying that they're getting pretty spread out as you watch Boutsen go down Brabham Straight, De Ketterville Terrace, call it what you will, and into the acute second gear right-hander at the hairpin to accelerate away and then go through and complete another lap. He is getting on for half a minute ahead of Nannini, who is getting on for half a minute ahead of Patrese, who is half a minute ahead of Nakajima. And then there is Eddie Chiva, who is a minute behind, over a minute behind the Japanese driver. Martini, still going strong, is in 6th position now. Pirro, that we're seeing from time to time, is in 7th place. Maurizio Gugelmin, with his teammate Ivan Capelli, long since having disappeared, is in 8th place. And Stefano Modena, with his teammate Martin Brundle out of the running, is in 9th place. And those are the 9 that are left in the Australian Grand Prix with only an hour gone. Well, we've beaten the 1988 record when 11 people finished. We've beaten the 1986 record when 10 people finished. We're equaling the 1987 record when 9 finished. But in 85, there were only 8. Make of that what you will.
And still no sign of any let-up from the rain. This heavy drizzle continuing to come down, the mist over the hills, and really no sign whatsoever of any change in the weather.
James, you've done it. I haven't driven in conditions like this. How do you moderate your driving to make sure that you go as fast as you possibly can while staying on the island and preferably maintaining your position?
Well, the answer to that, Murray, is with great difficulty. It is really tiptoe stuff. Got to be tremendously light on the controls because all these cars are being designed for dry weather conditions. They get a lot more grip. They've got much too much power for the wet. The brakes are fairly vicious and violent, so everything, and the steering is very direct, and all these things are exaggerated in the wet, and the cars have to be treated with real fingertip control at tremendous concentration because they get away from you with very little warning indeed. And it really is an exercise in great self-control and a certain amount of bravery, because the visibility in these conditions is probably the single worst factor that the driver has to cope with. Far worse than the car sliding about is following another car even as far as 100 yards away and just being presented with a complete wall of spray through which you can't see anything ahead, and to see when you're following close behind another car, you literally have to look at the side of the track to see where you are on it.
Yes, and there's another problem, of course, and that is keeping the inside of the visor free of condensation. Motorcyclists who are listening to me will know that there are all sorts of dodges, ranging from rubbing the inside of the visor with a piece of potato to putting special preparations on it. But it's very, very difficult when you're breathing out and the temperature inside your helmet is higher than the temperature outside your helmet because of the wind and the spray. And incidentally, that's Nakajima bearing down on Martini. it's very difficult to avoid condensation. Nakajima doing everything he can to find a way through and succeeding. Well, the Japanese driver really is driving the race of his life, as James has said. The highest he has ever finished before was 4th position. He's had a 5th position, he's had a single 6th place too, but today he looks as though he's going to at least equal his previous record.
Well, and Nannini is definitely catching. Nannini's got the gap down now to 17.5 seconds. He pulled another 2.5 seconds from Boutsen's lead on that lap 42. So Nannini is certainly making some sort of a play to try and catch Boutsen. Boutsen will surely by now have been informed by his team, and we'll see if Boutsen has been taking it easy and can now respond to this attack.
Yes, look at Boutsen's car, and here's an interesting fact for you motor racing historical buffs. You will know that this is the FW13, which has replaced the FW12C at rather more than mid-season. The car has been a long time coming, because Patrick Head, its designer, who has produced so many World Championship race-winning cars, was not prepared to put it on the circuit until he was happy. It's really designed for active suspension, which was the system that Lotus pioneered and Williams also used in the past last year, but it is on conventional suspension now and has been a notably nervous car in the early races. That has not stopped it doing extremely well. Boutsen has just gone through to complete another lap. The gap was down to 17 seconds. Nannini goes through. Well, Boutsen has responded. His last lap was almost a second quicker than Nannini's. The gap has gone up to 18.5 seconds. We are on lap 44 now. And just as I was saying earlier on, Ayrton Senna would have been very much in touch with his pit to Ron Dennis with the radio to keep in touch with what was happening. The same will apply to Thierry Boutsen, and in his pit, his team engineer and team manager will be in touch with him by radio, monitoring his progress, informing of people who are behind him. And this is the battle that you are looking at now for 6th position, because Pirro in the background is closing up on Pierluigi Martini. Emanuele Pirro in his last race for Benetton and yet to score a World Championship point is closing up on Martini, and he's going to take him before very much longer. Of that there is very little doubt. Pirro desperately looking like everybody else for a good finish in his last Grand Prix of 1989, and his last Grand Prix for Benetton is now right up with Martini. And Pirro, of course, has got the ever-present problem of trying to get past that wall of spray.
And Boutsen has got the message. He has responded. New fastest lap of the race for Thierry Boutsen. And now pushing the lead out again.
Eddie Cheever going off, but just holding it. And whilst Boutsen is going quicker and quicker, and Eddie Cheever is trying to get going, never mind go quicker, he's stalled it, he's lost the engine, he's got the right front wheel off the ground, you can see it spinning there. He's not only stalled the engine, but he's beached the car. Now it's rolling backwards, he's on the surface. And there is the battle for 6th position between Pierluigi Martini in the yellow, white and black Minardi and the challenging Emanuele Pirro. Replay of Eddie Cheever. Let's watch and see what happens. Loses it, left lock. Up over the curb, yes. Coming any second now. Just missed the curb, you can see it in the foreground. He stops. Rolls forward, over the curb, and walks away. A disgusted Eddie Cheever is out of his last Grand Prix for Arrows, and I think he's going to be very glad indeed to see the back of what has been a disastrous 1989 for himself, except for the Grand Prix in his own hometown, Phoenix, America, where he finished in 3rd place. And Pirro is there, up into fifth position, ahead of Martini. New fastest lap so far for Thierry Boutsen, 1 minute 40.771, 135 Ks. And you're looking now at not only Pirro and Martini, but Alessandro Nannini, who in second place is about to lap, and does so Martini. I think the Italian was probably rattled and lost his rhythm when Pirro went past him. Well, we're down to the 1985 figure now. 8 competitors. It looks like the Australian Grand Prix is going to create a new record of having the least number of finishers. And if Nannini does much more of that, he's going to be one of them. But he caught it very well. And Boutsen on lap 46 is 23 seconds ahead. 23 seconds ahead of Alessandro Nannini, who is 30 seconds ahead of Riccardo Patrese. So the Williams cars are still first and third, on their way to 13 World Championship points, to more than consolidate their second place in the Constructors' Championship with this combination of the old FW12 and this new FW, which stands for Frank Williams 13 car. Riccardo Patrese is now the fastest man on the circuit, 1 minute 40.8, and that is 0.2 of a second faster than Boutsen and 4 seconds nearly faster than Nannini. And we now have an official statement, which I won't pretend for a moment has filled me with amazement, and that is that the race is running to the 2-hour limit and not the 81 lap limit. That, of course, was bound to happen when the conditions with rain and slipperiness of the circuit made it quite impossible to run the planned 81 laps within the maximum time limit of 2 hours.
Patrese responding to the pressure from Nakajima, his fastest lap of the race, and he pulled up a little bit of time then, 10.5 seconds now the gap.
Gujamin, he's a gentleman driver. He realised that there was no point in trying to keep Nakajima back because he had already been lapped, and he knew that the Japanese driver was in contention for a good place finish. Gujamin is in 7th place. He's only 1 place off the points at the moment because it's 9 points for a win, 6 for second, 4 for third, 3 for fourth, 2 for fifth and 1 for 6th place. And Nakajima is therefore on 3 points at the present moment, which would help Lotus a bit in the Constructors' Championship. In fact, it would move them in front of Arrows. There we are. 16 minutes now to the end of the race is the official message I've been given. And Nakajima going for third. Nothing to lose and a great deal to gain. He would be the first ever Japanese driver to be standing on the podium at the end of a Grand Prix if he finished in that third position. He's already the hero of Japan, because he's the only Grand Prix driver they've had who has done anything in the way of finishes. Wiping his visor, Aguri Suzuki, his countryman, who's been driving or trying to drive for Zach Speed this year, has had an awful season. I say trying to drive because he's failed to pre-qualify for every race. There's Patrese. Now we'll probably be able to see the gap as Patrese comes down into the hairpin at racetrack hairpin. I'll take a check on my stopwatch and we'll see what the difference is between them. There is Nakajima, and according to my watch it's slightly less than 5 seconds, in which case Nakajima is taking 3 seconds a lap out of Patrese's lead. There they are. You can see there's a visual gap now. They're coming through to complete the 64th lap. Another check coming up. First is Boutsen, second is Nannini, third is Patrese, fourth is Nakajima, who accelerates down the start and finish straight, and the gap is 4.97 seconds. Charger, Banzai, Nakajima. I think he's mentally put the white headband on underneath his helmet. And Patrese trying very hard to keep it on an even keel.
Yes, but Nakajima looks very confident. Let's hope for his sake that he can maintain his progress and not get overexcited, but he's certainly driven a very level-headed race indeed so far. And for the second half of this race, he's really been the quickest car on the circuit. Boutsen, of course, hasn't had to hurry. He's had a very comfortable lead. It's now 34.5 seconds over Nannini, so no problem for him. But Nakajima is racing Patrese and closing in.
Boutsen leads, Nannini second. Now read on. There is the battle for third. Patrese and Nakajima getting closer all the time. But as we have said many times before, catching is one thing, passing is another. Well, the tape has gone out at the finish line to keep the photographers back. The organisers are getting all ready to greet Thierry Boutsen home as the winner of the Australian Grand Prix. That is the Renault telemetry team. They know from watching those monitors that Thierry Boutsen's engine is in good shape. I can see from the way they're sitting quite calmly and relaxedly there that they are not worried about any engine aspects of Boutsen's car. And you can see for yourselves that the Williams Renault is unmarked, is handling well. Boutsen is very much in charge, and according to my watch, which is not official time, there are now 2.5 minutes to go to the end of the 70th lap, or the end of the 2 hours, which we think will be on the 70th lap. It is now lap 69. You're watching the man in second place. Now here is the battle for third. And it looks to me as though Nakajima's dropped back, as though Patrese has speeded up, and that is exactly the situation.
Yes, and of course remember that Nakajima got held up by Martini then through the twisty section of the early part of the lap, and that might just be the telling factor in his attempt to catch Patrese. And Patrese certainly giving it. You can see that he's really trying now, but twice in his charge, Nakajima's been unlucky with back markers in catching them at twisty points of the circuit, and that just has been the difference.
Glenn Dix, the man who has the absolutely unique style in producing and showing the checkered flag, is out there in his yellow blazer with the checkered flag in his hand. There he is, he's looking for Boutsen, who is approaching him now. And there is 1 lap to go. Dix waves his hand. Not that Boutsen will have seen it, but Thierry Boutsen is now, we believe, on the last lap of the Australian Grand Prix, lap 70 in this race, which was originally intended to be an 81-lap race. And hats off to the Belgian. He has driven a masterful race where driver after driver, out of the 25, that is 26 less Alain Prost, who started, have gone off the circuit into the walls. Very few have retired for reasons other than leaving the circuit somewhat violently. And Boutsen has almost got the job done. He is now round Stag Turn, down the Jones Straight, named after world champion Alan Jones, almost home.
Yes, and unless he can make it in under a minute from where we saw that time caption go up, because it's touch and go. And I think he's going to just miss it. So Boutsen on what is likely to be his last lap, but we can't be certain, and he has really driven a magnificent race, completely controlled. He's held onto the car beautifully in these conditions. He hasn't really put a foot wrong, and he's been quick. And here comes the 2 hours. There is 2 hours. The race will finish when Boutsen crosses the line. So tremendous drive by Thierry Boutsen, but certainly the driver, the star of the race has been Satoru Nakajima, who has put on a truly wonderful display and still can't catch Patrese, but he gave it a tremendous try.
Boutsen crosses the line to win the Australian Grand Prix. The Williams mechanics and the Williams team are understandably ecstatic with delight. They have won here in Australia the last race of the 16-race World Championship. Thierry Boutsen has taken his second victory, and that will do his future no harm at all. He can be very proud of himself, and that is Alessandro Nannini taking second place for Benetton. He has had a fine drive too, 28.6 seconds behind Thierry Boutsen. Now we wait for Riccardo Patrese, who has taken third place. The Williams cars finished first and third. Nakajima equals his best ever finish with fourth place. Those four on the same lap, they have all completed 70 laps, and Frank Williams, of course, is very, very happy indeed. Thierry Boutsen taking the applause of the crowd, almost home to come through at the end of his finishing lap. So, Belgian Thierry Boutsen wins his second Grand Prix in the Williams Renault. Alessandro Nannini second in the Benetton Ford. In the second Williams Renault, Riccardo Patrese takes a third position. In fourth place, the only other driver to go the full distance, Satoru Nakajima equals his best finish, Lotus Judd. Fifth, Emanuele Pirro, his first time in the points. Sixth, Pierluigi Martini. Seventh, Mauricio Gugelmin. And in eighth position, Stefano Modena. So, at the end of the 1989 Grand Prix season, Prost is incontrovertibly world champion. Ayrton Senna second, despite the fact that neither of them finished in today's race. Riccardo Patrese moved up to third position today, ahead of Nigel Mansell, and in fifth position was Thierry Boutsen, with Nannini in sixth place. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren, with almost double the points of Williams, were obviously a very clear winner. Ferrari in third place and Benetton fourth. For all sorts of reasons, success, failure, technical interest and a record number of new drivers, 1989 has indeed been a season to remember. Let us now then look back on it and recall some of the many things that made their marks. Away, Senna second.
And that is very significant for the in-house McLaren race, that Prost made a fabulous start, but Senna is attacking and he's got the inside line for the corner.
Senna spins it off and Prost takes the lead. Senna goes off and out of the Italian Grand Prix.
first time ever in my life, that was my best race, Murray. That was fantastic. I was very fortunate, but I'm very, very happy.
Right up in the air.
There is a present world champion who was in a far better position than me to see the black flag. I ask again, did he see it? Why did he race me? Why did I race him? Because I did not see the flag and he did not see the flag. So why were we competing so hard? Because neither of us saw the black flag.
This is what we were fearing might happen during the race.
Senna has got going again. He's back on the track, but he will for sure be disqualified.
Ayrton has a small problem. He thinks that he can't kill himself because he believes in God and things like this, and I think that's very dangerous for the other drivers.
I have not caused the accident in Japan, and I only drive the way I believe is right. I am aggressive, I am determined, and I am dedicated to my profession.
You can go your own way.
So ends the 1989 Grand Prix season, the end of a decade. The next one starts at Phoenix in America next March. As ever, Grand Prix will be there, and we hope that you will be with us.